The more things change in Nigeria, the more they remain the same. The ineptitude called reform in our petroleum industry. The Petroleum Industry Act, which was touted by industry watchers as a revolutionary tool meant to overhaul our petroleum industry into a commercially oriented and profit-driven entity, has been bogged down by implementation, political and Nigerian factor industry challenges few months into takeoff. Section 4 and Section 9 of the Petroleum Industry Act establishes the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission, which replaced the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPRO, Petroleum Equalization Fund, PEF, and the Petroleum Pricing and Product Regulatory Agency, PPROA. Before now, remember, it was the sole duty of DPRO to regulate the petroleum resources in Nigeria. The PPROA's main functions, among others, was settling petroleum pricing templates and the provision of petroleum support fund to the downstream industry, while PEF was providing bridging funds to the petroleum marketers. With the merger, what you have operationally now is a situation where staffs of the defunct PPROA and PEF who do not have experience in the midstream and downstream regulations like vessel clearance, depot and filling station permits and licenses, industry health, environment and safety regulations, or even international standard guiding these operations, are now the one running midstream and downstream operations. And the Upstream Commission, now headed and managed by a retired hand from NNPC, with little or no experience in regulatory functions, while the trained and experienced hands from defunct DPRO are now subsumed in both commissions with little or nothing to do, as their job are now be completely taken over by consultants, just like the days of Fowler in FRS, Federal Inland Revenue. If you remember, it can only happen in Nigeria. You train people, you keep them aside. You employ consultants for political gains. Rather than achieve the objective of the initiators, which was very beautiful and meant to reduce cost of governance and also reduce or completely eradicate political influence in the sector, typically of everything beautiful in Nigeria, beautiful address once introduced, politics has completely eroded the independence of these agencies. Otherwise, tell me, how do you move from an agency with a chief executive and about 7 deputy directors to now having more deputy directors for each of the petroleum agencies, with additional layers or about 7 or more directors, 7 executive directors, and a chief executive officer? Yet, we say this government is interested in repositioning the economy by cutting down the cost of governance. We deceive ourselves. You can't deceive me. Allegations even there, they talk and small sha. Allegation. Say the Senate President, I nominate the Executive Commissioner of the Upstreams Commission, while the Speaker of the House of Rep nominate the Executive Director of the Downstream Authority, and the nomination of the Chief Executive influenced by the JMD of the NNPC. With this, I doubt if either of the agencies will have the nerve to indict NNPC or even charge them penalties for default as done by the former DPR. The creation of these two bodies instead of one regulatory body has also created duplicity and lack of coordination and infighting between the two regulators on implementation of functions and roles, which eventually now has led to industry operators having to register with the two regulators as against one. They also have to process permits from both agencies. This is aside the humongous salaries and allowances that accrues to board members. You know now, board members. Also, I beg, help me ask again. In a country where we are supposed to be cutting costs, what is the benefit of moving staff from that beautiful edifice owned by DPRO in VI, Lagos, and newly renovated, to a rented shopping mall and makeshift Port Harcourt, not fit for office usage in Abuja? Well, your guess is as good as mine, at least to collect rent that will benefit the owners of the building, who definitely will probably be in government. We'll continue. Soon, this free oil money will finish and our eye will clear. I will therefore advocate that until we truly and genuinely pursue true reforms by reducing this duplication of agencies, put round pegs in round hole, and reduce drastically political influence in our regulatory system, agencies, and framework, instead of this pretentious reform, soon we will end up destroying the existing oil and gas sector the way we have destroyed other sectors. Industry watchers also should consistently put regulators on their toes for optimum results to enable the people in general derive the few benefits in the sector, this sector that the world is massively moving away from. Well, like we always say, if we made sense to you, simply follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen, watch and share previous episodes. Until we see you next week, be reminded that soon these high walls will not be strong enough to protect the rich from the anger of the hungry poor. I don't talk my own. See you next week.